Baltimore Ravens, speaking of the team that the Pittsburgh Steelers fans are getting tired of seeing have incredible drafts, they did it again this year in 2022, just letting the board fall to them and just crushing it. It's hard to walk away. Like, despite losing Marquise Brown and trading him away, it's hard saying that the Baltimore Ravens didn't win the draft. I think they absolutely killed it the way they went on this.
Yeah, it was amazing. Tyler Linderbaum at pick 25 was great value. They needed center help. They got it. The trade back was a fantastic move to get Linderbaum in a position that actually showed the value for that position. David Ajabo, pick 45, man, he's probably going to redshirt this year. He obviously tore his Achilles at his pro day. But him and Odafe Oweh are a disgusting duo once he does come back healthy.
And with Patrick Queen right there behind him. Yeah. Yep.
Travis Jones, another guy that was like in my top 50, a fantastic player overall. Going to be, and listen, Baltimore loves their big nose tackles.
Absolutely.
Haloti Ngata, type of player there, somebody who can rush the passer a little bit despite being a legitimate nose tackle and being an athletic freak as well as something that Travis Jones boasts. Daniel Falele, interesting pick. It's perfect for the Baltimore Ravens. He is big. And by big, I mean, he is probably the biggest human being that I've ever seen, like stood beside.
He is the heaviest. He is the heaviest player ever drafted into the NFL. 6'8", 384 pounds.
Yeah. And I've never seen Shaq in person, but I have seen Daniel in person. I saw him at the,
so he takes the cake.
I saw him at the Senior Bowl, and he is the largest human being I've ever seen. Jalen Armour-Davis, fantastic pick. I have no idea how a tall, long, athletic Alabama corner ended up at, in round 4. Yeah, does not make sense. And then they go out and got Charlie Kohler, somebody who I think can be a starting tight end in the future. Obviously, Mark Andrews is there, but they like to stock up on tight ends. They could have.
The Ravens love their tight ends. Even when they had Mark Andrews, you still have bring in Hayden Hurst. I mean, there's a team that always drafts these guys.
They're going to go 14 personnel and just say goodbye to the wide receivers. And then they got the best punter in the draft. So, go for it.
Yes and no. I think they probably, from what I am not a punting savant. I don't just study the film on. From what everyone was saying, Jordan Stout probably is the most pro-ready punter. He hits a very high ball with a lot of hang time on it. His drop is probably the most consistent as well. So it wasn't surprising, although I'm still like, I like bombs, and Matt Ariza gives me bombs. So it's like, yes. I'm a big fan of him. It's like the same, like, I think he could probably change his trajectory a little bit if you want to knock off, okay, instead of hitting 80-yard punts, you're hitting 70s, like big whoop. But it's more like the directional, it's situational punting rather than just hit it as far away as I possibly can, because San Diego State was backed up in their own end zone quite a few times. I don't think he's going to have that same issue sitting there in Buffalo. I think he's probably going to be a little better off. So learn how to get a little more consistent with the drop and that directional kicking the coffin corners. I think he'll be just fine, though.
Is he ever going to have to punt in Buffalo?
That's a damn good question. That might be the best job in sports, is be the punter for the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, because you're never on the field, but you're making a bank.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, honestly, and the thing is that we actually didn't even mention like their first overall pick they had this year, and that was a pick 14 at Kyle Hamilton. This one was
my god, I forgot about Hamilton.
Yeah, I know, you completely skipped over Hamilton. He was like one of the most like decisive or divisive players of this class. It seemed like you either loved him or you hated him, and every time you mocked him to a team, that team's fan base instantly hated that draft, because no one wanted Kyle Hamilton. The Ravens clearly did, but I can't help but wonder if they were a little frustrated where the Eagles traded ahead of them to get Jordan Davis, because honestly, Jordan Davis just looked like the ultimate Baltimore Raven. Like, he was their next Haloti Ngata. Instead, the Philadelphia Eagles go out there and they get their next Fletcher Cox. I mean, it's pretty much the way I look at it. But yeah, Kyle Hamilton, you want to talk about a chess piece and what they want, whatever they want to do with him, because it's already a loaded defense. Like I said, they just need to stay healthy. You've got Marcus Williams, you've got Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphreys back there. You bring in Jalen Armour-Davis. Like, it's just so much strength on this defense. I thought that pick was just fantastic. Like, he was going to go at some point. Some people had him pegged as early as like in the fifth and top 5, top 6 picks. To get him at 14, Kyle Hamilton, incredible move.
Yeah, and like you said, he is a chess piece. The linebacker play in Baltimore has been a little bit underwhelming. It's kind of been the low point of their defense. He helps out there. He can play in the overhang. He has a 9-foot wingspan. That's not a real number. I'm just saying that he's very long.
He's pretty much a pterodactyl.
Yes,
you're not a Raven. He's a pterodactyl.
He's a very good tackler on top of that. And then listen, as long as you don't put him in the slot against Alec Pierce, he's going to be fine. Just don't put the 6'4" dude on the guy who can run routes. Like it's just that it's a bad situation because just anatomically you cannot physically be able to mirror and match a guy that is that much smaller than you with those limbs that you have. Kyle Hamilton just can't do it. He looks like a small forward out there in coverage. And he's pretty good at it when he's playing in the back half. Just don't put him up against, small little slot receivers. Let him line up against tight ends. That's what he is built for. And he's built to come downhill, make plays behind the line of scrimmage, make big tackles. He is going to be a very fun player for that.
Just team. Let him play like Jeremy Chin. Just do whatever Jeremy Chin does and do the same thing with him. I'm actually really glad you brought up about not putting him in the slot because this is the time you're like, we all put out draft grades. I know we've done here at Pro Football Network. I'm sure you've talked about these yourselves too. Everyone loves to talk about draft grades, who won, who lost. I'm a little not as high on those because quite frankly, we don't know how these players are going to be for another couple of years. So I hate speaking about certainties. And the reason I bring that up is because we talk about, okay, if Kyle Hamilton, they move him at the slot and he doesn't play well, everyone's going to call him a bust when in reality, it's the situation the team put them in. So like when we talk about draft grades, a lot of this comes down to when we look back on them, how were they used and did they fit the scheme? You draft players based on their skills and how they fit what you do. If you move someone out of it and put them in a completely uncomfortable position, there's no surprise when these guys struggle. So when we talk about draft grades and we talk about busts and things like that, don't just think about it in terms of what they did, but think about what the position they were put in. Were they put in a position to succeed, or were their backs against the wall from day one, despite being a high draft capital prospect?
Absolutely. And I think the other big thing when it comes to that is we don't know what players fit different schemes. And I bring this up because I bring up the Patriots. Cole Strange. Nobody saw that pick coming. And listen, the Patriots
McVay didn't see it coming.
Stuff. Yeah, the Patriots always do funky stuff. But if the Patriots thought that he was the best fit for their downhill gap scheme, that's the best player on their board. It makes sense for them. And I think when we go through and we rank players in the draft, we do it in a vacuum. We do it as, hey, all blank slate, 32 teams, doesn't matter. When you're building a board for a team, it's completely different from the consensus board. And I know a lot of people talk about that consensus board that Arif Hassan at The Athletic puts together every single year. That's great. That's fine and dandy. Those are some of the brightest minds in football evaluating these players. But it doesn't matter when it comes to the teams because the teams are all looking for completely different guys.
Yeah, nope, you said it perfectly. Luke's looking at the rest of the draft. You bring, like I said, we talked about Jordan Stout, the punter. Then bring in Demarion Williams, cornerback out of Houston, and the round 4. These guys had, 5 fourth-round picks. Just incredible when they're adding that much depth. And then in round 6, pick 196, Tyler Beatty, the running back out of Missouri. I think that's a really sneaky pick. You have Justice Hill coming off an injury. They waived and then they re-signed him back. I would not be surprised if we see Tyler Beatty kind of being that 2-minute drill style running back in the passing game. That's not really the role that you have Gus Edwards or J.K. Dobbins wanting to play. They're more like your 2 down, kind of between tackles. When you bring in passing situations, I would not be surprised if Tyler Beatty's on the field a little bit more than people suspect, despite being a 6th-round draft pick. Look, if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan, if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan, let us know what you guys thought about the Ravens draft haul from the 2022 NFL draft. Let us know down in the comments. Make sure while you're down there, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Really helps us out over here. And make sure you guys stay tuned for all the next news coming up from Pro Football Network.